Hello, this is Jace Mortimer, EDU 503, Sports Law, Assignment 3.1. The court case that I have chosen to present on is NFL v. McBee and Bruno's, a broadcasting rights case. This case is a 1986 lawsuit in the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals, where the NFL and the St. Louis Cardinals sued several bar and restaurant owners in the St. Louis area. This case involves the broadcasting rights and blackout restrictions of professional games. The key issue surrounds the question, can businesses legally show blacked out games using their own satellites? Now, the NFL had a blackout policy stating that if a home game was not sold out, it would not be broadcast within a 75-mile radius of the stadium. Despite this, the defendants used their own satellite dish antennas to intercept what is known as the clean feed of the game, which in the media industry is the raw broadcast signal of the game before it reaches local TV stations. By doing this, they were able to show blacked out games in their establishments, which attracted more customers, ultimately leading to an increase in profits. The NFL argued that this was an unauthorized use of their copyright broadcasts. The case focuses on several key legal questions. First, whether live sports broadcasts are protected under copyright law. Second, whether intercepting a satellite signal without permission constitutes copyright infringement. Third, whether the defendants could claim protection under the home use exemption of the 1976 Copyright Act. And finally, whether the court could issue a permanent injunction to prevent future violations. The NFL and the St. Louis Cardinals argued that their broadcasts were protected under the same 1976 Copyright Act. They claimed that they held exclusive rights to display and distribute these broadcasts, and that the defendants violated those rights by intercepting and showing the games without their prior authorization. They also argued that the defendants were using broadcasts for commercial gain by increasing their profits, which increased the seriousness of the infringement. Additionally, they emphasized that the blackout rules are important for maintaining ticket sales and that the overall value of the broadcasting agreements is increased by these same blackout rules. Because the bars profited from showing these games, the NFL argued that irreparable harm should be presumed because an increase in the bar's attendance for the free distribution of the game loses revenues for the NFL and for the St. Louis Cardinals, and also control of those broadcasting rights. The defendants argued that the NFL had not proven actual harm and that they claim any damage was speculative. Their claim was that the game was not sold out for a reason, and that people up to a 75-mile radius were unwilling to travel to the games already. They also claimed protection under the home use exemption, arguing that they were simply receiving a signal similar to what could be viewed at home. Just the satellite dish was receiving signals, and the clean feed was not the same as the edited and copyrighted version. Because of this, they argued that they were not actually infringing on any of the protected work from the NFL, and they challenged whether a permanent injunction could apply to any broadcasts that had not yet occurred. For the court's decision, it was overwhelmingly in favor of the NFL and the St. Louis Cardinals. They held that live sports broadcasts are protected under copyright laws, and the defendants' actions constituted copyright infringement. The court rejected the home use exemption, explaining that satellite dishes were not commonly used in private homes at the time and therefore did not qualify under the statute. The court also dismissed any arguments about the clean feed versus the copyrighted, edited, or what is known as the dirty feed, stating that it was the actual game content itself was the protected work regardless how the signal was transmitted. Additionally, the court upheld the use of the permanent injunction to prevent future violations. This was an upholding from a lower court ruling. However, the court did rule that certain defendants were not liable because their use was limited and did not qualify as a public performance. The impact on legal precedent in athletics reinforced that live broadcasts are protected works at all levels, and it expanded the definition of what a public performance is in commercial settings. They also clarified that commercial use for any copyrighted materials can also lead to a presumed harm. They limited the scope of the home use exemption and strengthened the reinforcement that there are broadcast rights in athletics. Now, how this impacts athletic administrators, we're really going to see a greater impact in the collegiate and professional levels, more so than the interscholastic levels. But it reinforces that broadcast rights are a valuable form of intellectual property and must be protected. Right now, we see a rise in house broadcasting at the interscholastic level, and the broadcasts brought to you by uh, state associations during postseason play. Unauthorized use, especially for commercial purposes, can lead to legal consequences, and athletic administrators need to understand these copyright laws. And it also highlights the importance of understanding licensing agreements for athletic administrators and how media rights are managed from the legal side of things. Ultimately, this case shows that uh, the control over how and where games are shown is a major part of the business side of athletic administration.